We see that there's barriers, there's fears, there's anger, there's hatred even in our hearts. It may be towards someone sitting in this room, or it may be towards a different race. It may be, who knows, it may be someone in your school or in your workplace. But we have this hatred in our heart that keeps us from becoming one with each other. So what do? We have to lean in on the gospel. And we have to lean in on this scripture that Jesus says that He wants us to be one as Him and the Father are one. And that teaches us about what are the guts of this oneness. Well, Jesus and God glorify each other. They've been glorifying each other from the beginning of time. It's self-sacrificial love. Jesus glorified the Father when He went to the cross. And then God has glorified Jesus. And they've been doing it since the beginning of time. So for us, we take this example from the gospel that, first of all, the gospel says we're all broken and messed up, right? That we all have darkness in our heart. So we can't judge each other. But Jesus forgives us. So we need to forgive each other as well. And then it goes further, and we're to mimic this active love in the Trinity between the Father and the Son. It's that self-sacrificial love. That we would give up the rights to ourselves, the rights to what we think are right. That we would give up our pride for each other. That we would glorify and exalt each other. That we would call out the gifts in each other. That we would be quick to forgive each other because God has been quick to forgive us. As we strive to do that, we go deeper and deeper into the gospel. And we go deeper and deeper into oneness with God and the Father. Don't you want that? Don't you want to be in that intimate dance with the Father and the Son in that relationship? Well, as you exalt one another, as you lay down the rights to yourself for each other, you enter into that magical dance, that love, that self-sacrificial love dance with each other. You know, our tendency in this country is, especially in the United States right now, is to be independent-minded, to be really sure of ourselves, to be super self-confident. And it's hard. It's hard to enter into, especially a church community, and to submit to one another. It's really difficult. And what it reminds me is that, you know, in this scripture, Jesus says, look, I'm praying that the enemy would not have his way with you. We have to realize that there's an enemy of our souls, and his name is Satan. He's going to come at our communities. He's going to come at us so hard. He's going to speak. He's going to try to get us to gossip. He's going to try to get us to hate each other as much as he can. But we gotta know his schemes. We gotta understand what he's trying to do, and we always have to go back to the gospel. I do it all the time. I have to say, Lord, you forgave me. I'm going to forgive them. And one thing I want, just a real practical thing that you can do, is I happen to write down all my resentments. If I come home from work one day and I was angry at someone, I write it down and I say, God, this person did this to me. Will you take the pride out of my heart so I can be back in relationship with them? And I just encourage you, it's a simple exercise. Some of us walk around, we still remember things people did to us 10, 20 years ago, like it was yesterday. No, God wants you to get rid of that. Because all that does is it stops the church from being what he wants it to be. Now, we all seen, because of this, because we don't receive the forgiveness of the Lord for others as well, and because we still carry all this resentment, we've seen the church split. Has anybody ever been a part of a church split? It's really hard, and it's really nasty. And we have over 800 Christian denominations. I think saying we have so many denominations is just a nice way to say we have almost 800 church splits. You know, we have to hold our doctrine lightly in the church. We can't force people to believe exactly what we believe. I like to say, let's major on the majors, on Jesus. But then there's a lot of other stuff that we just got to put down, put aside. You know that 50% of the missionaries that come home from the mission field, it wasn't because they had a problem with the nationals in their country. It wasn't stress. It wasn't things you might think. 50% of the missionaries that have to come home, it's because they have interpersonal problems with their partners in missions. That tells you a lot. It tells you that we need the gospel. We need to continue to preach the gospel to ourselves. That we're more messed up than we know, but more loved than we can imagine. And we need to pass that forgiveness on to others. Because when we serve each other self-sacrificially, when we forgive each other, we are actually glorifying the Lord. That's what glorifies God. When we put the rights to ourselves down and love each other, that's what glorifies Him. And that's what actually brings us glory as well. Jesus says He wants to share this glory of self-sacrificial love in the Trinity with us.